data much more quickly than SATA will allow. And although SATA Express, which you can learn more about here, was designed to alleviate this bottleneck, it is pretty difficult to find SATA Express drives on the market, even though motherboards supporting it are out there. Fortunately though, M.2 provides the same speed benefits as SATA Express with the extra advantage of being much smaller and more versatile. Many M.2 drives actually utilize your computer's PCI Express bus, with the fastest M.2 drives currently on the market using a PCI Express 3.0 X4 connection, translating to a theoretical maximum of 4 gigabytes per second. Pwah! And although you probably won't see real-world speeds quite that high, especially not right now, current M.2 PCIe drives will still be much faster than a regular SATA SSD and should continue to get faster in the future. M.2 is also useful for things other than storage devices. You can get Wi-Fi and Bluetooth cards that will fit into your motherboard's M.2 slot and take advantage of PCI Express speeds without having a, large card plugged in or a dongle hanging out of your case. And even if you're just using M.2 for storage, you still get the additional benefit of not having to mess around with any power or signal cables. Slot in the card, put in a screw, and you are good to go. But before you rush out to buy a new M.2 SSD or wireless adapter or whatever, remember this: not all M.2 cards and slots are the same. Faster M.2 drives will utilize the newest version of PCI Express, that is 3.0 as of right now, as well as the new NVMe standard for interacting with the rest of the system. So be sure to check for these things before you buy, especially as some M.2 drives use PCIe 2.0, the older AHCI protocol, or even the existing SATA bus. So they're basically just an M-SATA card that fits in an M.2 slot. So in the case of that last one, you won't see any performance benefit at all. And you also have to pay attention to the physical layout of the card. Unlike SATA, M.2, even though it only has one name, uses several different connector types. So most M.2 slots on current motherboards use either connectors B or M for SSDs and A or E for wireless adapters. Now, some cards are actually compatible with multiple connectors, so just make sure that whatever you're buying, you are checking before you pull the trigger. And then finally, size matters with M.2. Every M.2 card, regardless of its connector type, will have a number indicating its dimensions, such as 2242, which means that it's 22 millimeters by 42 millimeters. Just like how some cases will only fit graphics cards up to a certain length, some motherboards and notebooks aren't compatible with longer M.2 devices. So, I guess the final word is this: although there may be more to remember with M.2, the extra speed and flexibility is probably worth having to pay a little bit of attention. That is to say, unless the thought of leaving all 10 of those drive cages in your unnecessarily large gaming tower unused makes you feel sad. Speaking of making people sad, you wouldn't want to make Squarespace sad, would you? Well, if you had an ugly website, they would be sad. Squarespace is the place to go to build a simple, powerful, beautiful, functional website.
Let's roll. models from places such as AliExpress or eBay. This processor is now 10 years old, so we'll look at how this CPU holds up in 2018. The Core 2 Quad isn't quite retro, as you will see it still offers very solid performance and can be used as your daily driver. But of course with a 10-year-old system there are limitations, and we will have a look at those. The Q9400 is a Socket 775 processor, and this platform is now getting really cheap. Here we have a graph that I put together. At the horizontal we can see a range of CPU models, and on the vertical we have current prices from AliExpress. All the prices I mentioned in this video are for items ready to go. No need to bid or wait for a bargain. We can see that most of the Core 2 Quad processors cost under $20, but the last few models still command a hefty premium, especially the QX9770, which is the ultimate Socket 775 processor. The Q6600 is likely the most iconic and legendary Core 2 Quad processor, but for a few dollars more you can get one of the newer models that run a little bit faster and also cooler with less power draw, and the Q9400 is such a model. The Q9400 has 4 cores running at 2.67 GHz. We've got 6 MB of level 2 cache. The frontside bus runs at 1333 MHz. The chip is manufactured on a 45 nanometer process and has a TDP of 95 watts. Now when talking about value, the topic of modifying a Socket 771 processor always comes up. Now this is something for a future video, and this could be especially of interest to anyone who wants to check out one of the Nordics processors, be it quite a bit of money, like the 771 Xeon processor and more.
The first wave of missiles are about to be fired. after all.
Modding it. Socket 775 motherboards are also cheap. Looking at AliExpress, you can get boards from Asus or Gigabyte for around $25 to $30 with either DDR2 or DDR3 memory. So if you have existing RAM, you
Counter. Hey.
I hit you, motherfucker. Pomina 20 minuty?
Nie wiem. Mało czekaj. Dobra.
5 pomina 2.
Ale що?
Grab your stuff and let's go.
Ha.
That's all you got?
O, cheat koristim. Da, kad je?
Snap keyboard.
Ale ti...
Nice cheat bro, nice.
Sorry.
Run now while you have the chance. This is our life. Show your face so I can
Tam przygotowa, bro. Puka. Nie.
Shut the fuck up, they call me fucking dad. Ja, ne možeš tam mrdniš od ovoga. Puka. To na kanále se vrtí najviac normálna chytka.
Daj bratu,
Vypí.
reportujeme.
run now while you have the chance. Nice shooting. That one's yours. You got him. Yes. Don't worry, we'll call the morgue for you. This island, nice shot, man. You got him.
Nie jest, no.
Ale ti skina tu.
Oh, bang, bang, man. Nice, man. Nice. This is our life.
Nie ma lepiej. Aha, ale kopił ma brać cheater. Ma to. Script to.
Aber
So easy, dog. So fucking easy.
Dobra, mam psy. Ej, brat, ja śmieję to ty się to może późno, ale to...
So fucking easy.
You can go either way. I spent a little bit more, and for around $35 I got the P43TES3G. This one has the P43 chipset, supports PCI Express 2.0, up to 16 gig of DDR3 RAM, and it fully supports the more power-hungry 130 watt processors, as well as the older Pentium 4 and Pentium D CPUs, which not all boards are compatible with. The motherboard arrived in a plain box. It was very clean, included the I/O shield and also a SATA cable. The coin battery was removed because of air rate. Here we got this system fully assembled. We have 8 GB of DDR3 memory in dual channel memory. Later I'm going to upgrade that to 16. We've got a Deepcool Gamax 300 CPU cooler, and for the graphics, a GeForce 1050 with 2 GB. So in the background we have Fortnite running at 1080p with medium details. MSI Afterburner is running as an overlay, but all the capturing is going into the second machine. So what you see here is what you get with the Q9400 and the GTX 1050. So Fortnite runs great, it's quite well optimized. So let's move on to the next game. Here we have Doom. We are running the Vulkan API, also in full HD with medium details. This is another game that runs quite well on this 10-year-old processor. When considering the performance, do keep in mind that the processor costs only $15 and a suitable motherboard can be had for around $25. But of course there are limits to what such a system can do. Here we have Hitman, also running at 1080p with around medium detail. When we are inside a room with not much else going on, we're getting well over 60 FPS. But in outdoor areas with lots of NPCs running around, we can see the machine
full team, wow.
Now is the time. Two men left. You got him. In the middle. We must push them from our lands. Nice shot, man. You can stop shooting, man.
struggling to keep up the performance, and it drops to around 30 FPS. I did lower the resolution to 720p just to see if maybe the video card is holding things back, but no, it is the processor or another aspect of the system that is holding things back here. Next up we've got Pro Evolution Soccer 2019, another demanding game that doesn't quite hit the 60 FPS on this system. Once we are
Wiem dojemniki w dziurawych butach. Dojemniki w dziurawych butach.
It is time to do our part.
In the actual game though, performance does improve a little bit, so I would still call this playable. You can enable VSync to help that you can pick up for a few dollars during sales, and the graphics are still holding up well, and such games are a lot of fun to play. Now,
Move it! Only 2 men left. Don't forget the plan. Let's go. Middle. There is.
Sikerler oğlum, hepimizi sikerler.
Let's go. Stop. We are brothers. So that we may be free. I need help here. Let's get them
That's
off
too much.
our island. We are safe for now.
What did you say?
Let's roll. Let's go.
quick and win.
The bomb camp. 3 guys left. Let's move out. Okay. Checking the backyard.
What about overclocking? Well, I usually don't like to overclock retro parts, but this system isn't quite retro yet, so yeah, let's take a look. So I went into the BIOS and really I was just aiming for a quick overclock by raising the front set bus, and I got up to 3 GHz, then 3.1 and finally 3.2. We've got some Cinebench results here. Now 3.2 wasn't quite stable in game, so I backed off to around 3 GHz, and some games shown in this video you can just see the clock speed running at 3 GHz, so just keep that in mind. So here we are back with Hitman. I've upgraded the RAM to 16 GB and the processor is now overclocked, and we can see a nice little boost throughout the game, especially in the scenes with all the NPCs going on. It's not like we're gonna get 60 FPS, it's just a minor improvement, which is basically Rise of the Tomb Raider. This game seems to be mostly held back by the video card. We are running the DirectX 12 API at full HD with medium details. Now in Hitman I tried out DirectX 12 and it actually ran slower than the DirectX 11 version. Now with the RTX 2080 video card launching soon, hopefully this will bring some movement to used video card prices and some of the higher models become available to us budget gamers. And we have one more game. This is The Witcher 3, also running at 1080p with medium details. Another great game that gives the Core 2 Quad a good workout and taking advantage of all the cores. So let's wrap up this video. The 10-year-old Q9400 is still going strong in 2018. But what really stands out is the value. For around $15, this is such a good deal, and motherboards are cheap as well. So if you're on a small budget, then a Socket 775 system with a Core 2 Quad can be a really interesting option. The machine worked great with Windows 10. I had zero compatibility or other issues, and apart from gaming, there is so much else you can do, from running Office, watching Netflix and YouTube, Facebook and so on. The Gamax 300 also did a great job with keeping the temperatures in check, but do keep in mind that it's quite cold in Australia at the moment. So there you have it guys, the Core 2 Quad still going strong. Let me know what you think of this video. Also, anything you want to see in the future to do with Socket 775, leave them down below in the comments. I've got most of the processors now and some other gear that I've purchased recently, so there's a ton of stuff that we can do. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, do give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, click on that notification bell, because subscribing is not enough anymore. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I shall see you soon with another one.
Let's roll. Let's go, people. Let's roll. Lock and load.
Counter-terrorists win.
We did it. Let's roll. I'm defusing the bomb. Nice job, they're all dead.
All counter-terrorists win.
Let's roll. Let's roll.
Terrorists win.
Let's go. Secure their weapon. Flashbang.